Should you buy Destiny 2 in 2021? Destiny 2 is such a difficult review to make because there is so many things to praise, from Destiny's gameplay to the amount of content available right now. But there is so much wrong with Destiny as well, most importantly how unfriendly the game is to new players. I also want to make it clear I played Destiny 2 on Game Pass, so I got access to the DLC without paying a dime apart from my monthly payment, so I'll be talking about the monetization scheme of Destiny 2 as well as the upfront price you have to pay to get access to those DLCs, and spoiler alert, it is way too expensive. Welcome to Classic Game Reviews, my name's Jack, this is my Destiny 2 review. How's everyone doing today? Destiny 2's gameplay is a lot of fun. Destiny 2 has a gameplay loop that is beyond addicting and really feels like one of those games you can't stop playing till 4 AM at night because of the way the game is designed. Constantly putting that one bit of loot you want right around the corner just before you're about to head to sleep. It really is addicting and offers a great amount of value in terms of content and the amount of hours you can actually get out of just one section of the game, whether that be the Crucible or the normal strikes or even some of the story content, but that will be mentioned in the monetization aspect of the review. There's a great variety of enemies, all with different abilities, and in later stages of the game require all sorts of mods to beat, especially in those Nightfall strikes. That means there is a reason to use as many weapons as you can to really figure out which is the best one to take out these enemies, and there's plenty of weapons to choose from. You can equip pistols, auto rifles, scout rifles, snipers, shotguns, rocket launchers, swords, super cool beam energy weapons, grenade launchers, even a bow, among many other exotic weapons. Now the weapon variety is fantastic, but a lot of these weapons are unlocked in later stages of Destiny 2 when they're actually useful and required to beat tougher enemies, but that means grinding, and my god, there is a lot of grinding in this game. As I said, the enemy variety is great, as well as your choice of weapons. However, the gameplay is the same throughout. Go to locations, shoot enemies, and collect loot. So naturally, I thought it would get stale really quickly, but I'm happy to say that's not the case. The gun variety seriously helps with the longevity of the game because there's many variations of each weapon, especially exotics. For example, I unlocked an SMG, which when I get shot by specific weapons that use arc energy, causes the gun to get a boost in damage and shoot electric bullets, that's the best way I could put it, which spreads across enemies, so it becomes a completely new way to play Destiny 2.
That's a lot of damage!
Instead of constantly dodging enemies' bullets, you now want to chase every bullet that comes at you to make sure you're even more OP, and that kind of variety of gameplay is the perfect option for a game like Destiny 2. You have 3 separate classes, Warlock, Hunter, and Titan, and I personally chose Warlock, and each class has their own abilities, armor sets, etc. And you can really switch out those abilities for different energy types like Stasis or Solar Energy, which just adds a new variety of the gameplay. Now these are all very positive things, however Destiny 2 is not friendly to new players, and that can be best seen in the Crucible, which is Destiny 2's PvP mode, and I genuinely believe this might be the worst PvP I've ever played. New players will be slaughtered in the multiplayer mode because for whatever reason Bungie decided to allow all weapons to keep their power levels rather than balancing. Obviously not to annoy people who have grinded for those weapons, but it ultimately destroys any sense of balance that can be achieved in this multiplayer mode. Hand cannons, which is basically Destiny's revolver, is absolutely broken. You will be 2-tapped by people that have been playing the game since launch, while your weapons require like 10 hits to kill someone, which is just ridiculous and should never be the case in any multiplayer game. This isn't helped by the fact that lobbies are not balanced despite the player base being extremely active, which means you, as a level 1150 for example, will be matched with other players that are level 1340 or more in some cases. So they have the best armor sets and the best weapons and the best abilities in the game, which makes it almost impossible to beat them, which takes all the fun out of the game. Now at first I enjoyed myself because I just assumed I would get used to the game and get better at it, but it quickly became clear that a lot of games are decided the moment you enter them due to these weapons. I've seen players that play like bots walk away from a match with a positive KD because they're just tanks. They take bullets and bullets while shooting 2 and wiping you out, and it just ruins the experience. Your only choice is to grind Destiny 2 to unlock those weapons. However, it's not clear how to get those weapons as a new player, and can be extremely overwhelming, causing a lot of people to just burn out. Let's talk about the campaigns. The campaigns are great in my opinion. They're no Halo, and the cutscenes are pretty average most of the time, but each campaign offers hours of content including new weapons, new abilities like Stasis, and is a great way to experience a decent story while unlocking weapons that can be extremely useful in those early hours of Destiny 2. Forsaken is a great little journey wiping out bosses that killed one of your buddies, but the problem is from a story standpoint, if you play Destiny 2 now and never played the original campaign, you really don't know much about the character that actually gets killed off, making the story not work for new players, but the gameplay it provides is a lot of fun. The other DLC campaigns I haven't even played yet, because Destiny 2 is jam-packed with content, and I've been playing Destiny 2 non-stop pretty much every day. I've probably probably put in close to 25 hours already, and I haven't touched the other DLCs. Now, my main problem with the DLC is how much they cost, and the removal of content. Beyond Light right now costs close to £60 for the full package for one DLC. That is just ridiculous for a DLC. And for those that argue that it's a free-to-play game and you don't have to buy it, please, just shut up. You have to buy the DLC to get access to the majority of the content, but that is just if you buy the normal Beyond Light expansion. They cleverly hid that you can buy the Legendary Edition of Destiny 2, which gives you access to all of the expansions, so that is Beyond Light, Forsaken, and Shadowkeep for basically the same price. And for £60 for all that content, I do think it's worth it. There's one last thing I have to talk about, and that's how the monetization is used in Destiny 2. So don't buy the DLCs separate if you do plan to buy Destiny 2. Buy the Legendary Edition, and I would even wait for that to go on sale before you do. Not only that, but the Forsaken DLC, which is the one I personally played, will be removed entirely in February next year, which is absolutely ridiculous and a blatant rip-off, but it will be free on December 7th. So if you do want to buy Destiny 2 within the next month, you'll be wasting your money on that specific DLC. If you're enjoying this content, smash that like button. Thank you. So you have to buy these DLCs, but those DLCs, judging by Bungie's last decision, will eventually be removed from the game altogether. The original campaign that launched with Destiny 2 has been removed entirely, and the excuse that was used was that the install size for Destiny 2 would be too large with the additional DLC. And I'm sorry, what the hell? This means that the oldest DLC could be removed from the game entirely, despite paying for it, and that is just nuts to me. There is also a season pass, which I admit I paid for because it's quite cheap compared to a lot of season passes today. So I paid £8 for the season pass. Surely that's it, right? No more monetization? Unfortunately not. There is also a currency called silver that you can buy to gain access to different armor sets, emotes, skins, and among other things. I can't confirm if you can earn everything that is being sold in Destiny 2's store, but a lot of what was being sold, I don't see a way of earning them, so I can't confirm if those items are only accessible through purchasing them, but if that is the case, I do think that's a real slap in the face to the DLC owners. More recently, and I've just found this out while writing this review, the next DLC pack, which is the Witch Queen DLC, will lock certain parts of the DLC, which is the dungeon section, which is basically a big part of the DLC, if you don't buy the digital deluxe edition of a DLC. That's right, folks, DLCs now have deluxe editions. God, I hate this industry, man. Once again, I can see a comment saying, well, it's free to play. And once again, it really isn't. If DLC is being removed, I don't think it's fair to sell these items that can't be earned. A lot of weapons are locked behind certain DLCs, so if you're in the Crucible and you get killed by a really overpowered weapon, you almost always expect it to be one of the DLCs, so it's not free to play. I don't care how many times you try and say it is. It isn't. There are ways to unlock those DLC weapons, but you can't do them through quests. You have to grind and grind and grind for things called Ascendant Shards to unlock those exotics in a specific area of the tower, which is like the hub section, and that takes ages, and it would be way quicker just to do the quests, but they've removed them. So to sum up, Destiny 2 is a great time and offers an insane amount of content and is constantly being updated with new gameplay modifiers, the strikes, and a lot of endgame content. Unfortunately, the DLCs are really expensive, and the monetization aspect of the game heavily loos over the entire game, from the PvP modes to the amount of time you have to grind to get good weapons. DLCs are being removed, and that is simply not right. Imagine if you bought a game in 2011 and you came back to it today and half the content was gone. That's blatant robbery. Monetization is pretty horrid though, and the news of the new DLC having a deluxe edition seriously puts me off Destiny 2 as much as I enjoy. Thankfully, there is no loot boxes that you can pay for, at least from what I've seen. I'd give Destiny a 5 out of 10 for me personally, mainly because of the removal of content, which is blatant robbery, but the gameplay is super fun when you get into it. Thank you for watching.